All right, everyone, I'm going to go through here sort of a basic set of things that people can do to help combat the censorious bullshit that's going on. It's important because the legacy media, the corporate for-profit press so-called, which is what they've unfortunately largely become, is in now fairly obviously cahoots with certain partisan NGOs, certain tech fronts, and also just the generic cry bullies that you see, like the craptivists. People who, instead of ignoring things that they don't like, they try to destroy them so that other people can't have a good time. It's sort of like, people who sit there, like the idea of this soccer mom. She's got empty nest syndrome and she's really sad, so now she's just a picky busybody, and she sits out on her porch and yells at the neighbors and calls up, the police anytime someone plays music after 7 p.m. and shit like that. There are a lot of people that are like that, infamously, it seems everyone at Right Wing Watch, among others. They're just cry bullies. They can't create anything, so they're the kids that, went over and pushed the block tower over when some other kid was building it too high because they got jealous, basically. So I'm going to go through these. And I've got a bulleted list here. I usually don't do that, but, when you got multiple points to make here. I want to keep somewhat on track for a video like this. It's meant to be more informative than a rant, maybe. Step 1, mock them. Mock the legacy media. Look, people already don't trust them. They need to also come to see them as funny, as clowns, basically. Something to be not taken seriously, specifically because it lies. And because it's having problems. Look, when you point out, hey, CNN, one of the top-rated shows of yesteryear, lost 50% of its audience over the course of a single year, that's something to be mocked. That business model deserves to be mocked. Look, even they should be mocking their own business model. They should be trying to find another one. So far, it seems the only change they've made is trying to deplatform their competitors on trumped-up, excuse the pun, charges of being like hate-filled or something. So step 1 is simply mockery. Make light of them. Make it clear to other people around you that you hold them in contempt. Because they deserve to be held in contempt. Look, they're for-profit corporations that seek to usurp freedom. They don't like the concept of the First Amendment. They don't defend us against corrupt politicians because they don't do journalism really anymore. They're condemnable individuals, and they sit there and siphon a bunch of money, and they take their marching orders from people who are out and out corrupt. They deserve to be mocked. Step 2 is quite simple. Don't just mock them in a vacuum, mock them publicly and make sure others know the joyous news of how the old corporate legacy media has gone from maybe 50 years ago doing journalism, being what qualifies for a true press, and has turned into just a bunch of slime bag yellow journalists that now they're totally partisan. They're fixated on trying to destroy their competitors because of their own stupid failures. They made a bunch of mistakes, lied to people, got caught lying, failed to innovate, didn't take the internet seriously, they're being supplanted, and now they're panicking. Other people need to know this. They need to be shown the fact that this is true. Because a lot of people still think of them as properly the only media or the only press that exists. Alt media is here, and we're here to stay. Deplatforming aside, they can try that. It's not truly effective. Like, Alex Jones gets kicked off of 90% of the internet. What happens on the sites he's still on? Skyrocketing levels of growth. #1 in several app stores. He gained like 25,000 followers on Twitter in a fucking single day. A really effective attack. Now, you just made him more powerful on the sites where he is. And InfoWars will be top on BitChute soon. They're going to supplant me at some point. They're already #2. I just hope to hit 25,000 before they get to that mark. I want to be the first to hit that, and then they can go on past me. Step 3, the support of alt tech. And this means real-life activism, too. Post up billets, like take the BitChute logo and their URL and stuff, Gab and stuff like that. Post it around your town. It's not vandalism. I mean, it is legal. Where legal, you can do this. If your town has some ordinance against, posting pieces of paper up on a telephone pole, okay, I guess you can't do that. You'll have to innovate and leave a sticker behind on a lamppost or something. The UVM, there's this one post right next to the crosswalk between the Davis Center and sort of the Living and Learning Center at UVM. There's a post there that the traffic lights and a regular light are attached to. It's so coated with stickers all the way down. It's like, if you were to cut into it, you could probably use that as body armor because it's so thick. It's just layer upon layer. And as far as I know, it's not illegal in most cases to do this. It doesn't count as vandalism. It's not impugning upon anyone. You can't have vulgar messages and stuff. But if you were to put the BitChute logo you know, put on a sticker and you were to put it on a lamppost or in a signboard, you have little paper billets where they're allowed to be posted. Yeah, like at your library, people can generally post, you know, stuff up there. Put Gab up there, put Steemit up there. Support alt tech at all costs. Share it out on other platforms. Look, one of the greatest, most funny things is when you're using like YouTube to advertise the fact that you have other video presences, or you're like on Twitter and you're like, hey, here's my Gab. It's really, really funny, and generally speaking, it doesn't violate any TOS. If you're doing it excessively, then it's marketing or then it's targeted ads or spam. Those are against the rules on a lot of sites. Make sure to be, you know, careful of that. Don't be like brusque about it. But support of alt tech, because alt tech is helping. Absolutely. BitChute probably gained like 50,000 users over a 48-hour period in the immediate wake of InfoWars being massed to platform. Number 4, never back down or self-censor. I'm telling you, for larger creators that are like, well, maybe this subject I should avoid, maybe I shouldn't defend this particular person because, you know, then I might get developed. Don't do that. They will come and go. The moralists will lose. It's just a matter of time. You are capable of surviving this onslaught. The free market inevitably will, by the way, technologically speaking, fix it. It's likely that we're going to get an increasing movement towards an Internet Bill of Rights or something. Don't worry about it too much, because the more people are silent, the longer that paradigm stays in sway, the longer they will continue censoring things. The more people speak out, the shorter lived their abilities are. The legacy media will crumble before an onslaught of the full alt media if it ever gets together and stands together with alt tech and with various political activistic fronts. We would sorely outnumber everyone in the legacy media audience-wise. We would begin to outnumber them potentially even in a monetary sense. Their fan bases are dwindling. Their income is dwindling. Alt tech, alt media, everything's rising up. So don't be silent. Self-censorship is the worst possible outcome of attacks like this, and they're designed to force you to be afraid and self-censor. You should speak out anyway. What's the old saying? Speak out even if your voice shakes or something? Yeah, it's a pretty good indicator of what you should do. Absolutely. Don't you think that even content creators, sometimes they get worried in the back of your mind? It nags you a little. You know, you got a huge audience. You spent years building it up. And you're like, yeah, but if I talk about this subject, I might get raided. I might get brigaded. If I talk about that subject, people might not like it too much. Maybe they think that it's, this person's indefensible. Maybe I shouldn't make a video defending him. Bullshit. It's never going to happen. But there is always that sort of nagging doubt. You ignore it. That's what you should do. If everyone speaks out, what are they going to do? Ban off every fucking YouTuber? Ban every Facebook page, every Twitter handle? Okay, well, good luck doing that. It's never going to happen. Number 5, always, and this goes along with that, always vocally decry deplatforming. Doesn't matter who it is. You can be totally morally opposed to them. You can be totally opposed to one thing that some people are doing that is absolutely the wrong idea is that they're trying to adapt the tactics of the censorious crowd and fling it back at them. You're still endorsing their tactics. You're justifying what they've been doing trying to deplatform people. Don't do that. Instead, mock them. Point out how stupid they are in trying to censor others. Point out how wrong it is, and then take the moral high ground. That's all you got to do. Say, hey, my political ideology doesn't want to ban people for what they believe in. You know what'll happen? All the normies will flock to you. Eventually, they'll realize how stupid it is, because they'll do what they've done since every other moral panic, the temperance era. A lot of people didn't speak out. They're like, yeah, but it's indefensible. The eugenicists tell me that it's destroying our reproductive capabilities and it's a moral ill and it's Jesus would hate it that people drink. And so, yeah, I'm not going to stand in the way of prohibition even though it's fucking stupid. Or the Red Scare, yeah, but I don't want to get deplatformed or lose my job for defending someone that McCarthy says is a communist even though I know this person's not a communist. I'm just going to shut up. The Satanic Panic, well, yeah, but these Goths and Wiccans, they're scary, so I'm not going to defend them even though there's obvious slander. But then eventually people started speaking up because the claims were always stupid. They always will be stupid. And anytime deplatforming is done, look, those who stood up to it at the time are usually remembered in a pseudo-heroic light. They're remembered as being, at the very least, the intelligent ones of their generation. This happens over and over. Let me ask you this. Do you want to be left alone now and be forgotten in 10 years? Or do you want to be maybe beaten up on a little bit now? And 10, 20 years down the road, people are calling you some sort of visionary for standing for common fucking sense. That's what you should be choosing. If you're a content creator, you have absolutely no idea of how important it is for you to be one of the people to come out against deplatforming and censorship. The censorship lovers will lose. I guarantee you they'll lose. Once people stand up against them, they fall by the wayside. So far, people are beginning to wake up, but it's just barely beginning. It's going to take a while. Well, we can do this the fast and easy way, or we can do it the long and hard way. I prefer the former. Unfortunately, a lot of people are too scared to speak out right now. Okay, then I'll speak fucking for you, I guess. People who actually speak out will be remembered more fondly, and then there'll be a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys who want to make money off of it, writing a book about how bad censorship is when it's already collapsing or something. There'll always be those kinds, too. Oh yeah, I was always against that shitty policy. I was always against McCarthyism. Why didn't I speak out? Well, it was a scary time. People were a little bit odd, but I always knew. Don't worry, I was one of you. I was one of the hippies. I was one of the anti-temperance crowd. I was one of the wet people of society. And usually you weren't. You're just an opportunist, but it's just the way that it works. So those are some basic suggestions. Again, I usually don't use lists at all, but had to in this sense. Still a little bit of a rant, but you understand what I mean. Mock the legacy media. Mock tech firms when they deplatform people, when they succumb, when they bend over backwards to the fearmongers. Mock the craptivists. Make sure others are aware of how stupid they are. Do all of these things and we win, and probably fairly soon. Look, the paradigm, we're already in the third step of Mahatma Gandhi, so to speak, when it comes to resisting this wave of censorship. It's just a moral panic. It's not special. They're going to try to scare you by making you think that it's different this time, but it's not any different. It'll pass away just like all the other moral panics, because people inevitably will push against them and win. It's just a matter of how many people have to stand up and start speaking more often and more loudly about the craptivists before they begin to back down. That's about all. Peace out.